Hi, I'm Grant Moon. I'm going to do some keg shoe modification of the Delta Mustad Challenger shoe. I'm going to rocker the toe. I'm going to braze on 2 heel wedges to make it into a Spavin shoe. It's important when we rocker the toe, we get the toe rockered square with the direction of travel. I'm going to forge out the heels out of a separate piece of bar stock, cut them off, and then I'll braze them on using copper. You want to set or rocker the toe of the hind shoe. So we'll roll the edge first. So I roll the edge of the toe first. I line it up in front of the toenails, drop the shoe a little, and now I forge the set toe onto the anvil. Now we've got quite a nice sharp roll toe or set toe. So we've got the toe rockered. Now we can hot fit the rocker toe onto the foot, finish fitting the shoe, and then we'll braze on the wedges. So now with this piece of 3/4, 3/8, we're going to forge a normal heel onto it. Trying to make a heel similar to the Challenger heel. Take it to the edge of the anvil, cause a wedge. A little bend in it. Now we can cut it using an anvil devil. We've got our first wedge made. So I'm going to forge a normal heel. I'm going to try and make it very similar to the Challenger heel so I don't have much grinding to do when I'm finished. I'm thinking about the shape I want. I set it down. Just about 1.1/8 over the edge of the anvil. Forge it back together. Put a little bit of a radius in it. Now I'm checking them on the shoe just to make sure they're the right size, right height, and they fit. Now we can either braze them on one at a time, or we can try to do them both together. I prefer to do them at a time. It takes a few minutes longer, but I think it's worth it. Now I'm going to preheat to orange the wedge and the shoe. Once they're both orange, I'll bring it out. I'll lift the wedge off. I'll put the flux and the copper underneath. I'll lift the wedge back on top, and I'll put it back in the fire. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take some copper nails. I'm going to cut them in half. And then I'm just going to flatten them, so that way when I put them underneath the wedge, they can't roll. Put on your nails, put a little flux on, your wedge back on, put it into position, I'll flux it a little more. Put it back in the fire. We're going to bring it back up to temperature now until the flux and the copper melts. When they melt in the fire, we'll bring it out, we'll put the shoe onto the anvil gently, we'll put the hammer onto the wedge and just press down until the copper sets up. It's important not to hammer it. If you hammer it, you'll just squirt all the molten copper out of the braze. Take it out of the forge on the anvil, just press onto the copper. That's setting the copper up. The hammer's taking the heat out of the shoe. Now we can wire brush it. If we've wire brushed it, we can take it to the vise and we can clean up the shape of the heel. Right now it's cold enough that if we want to forge it just a little, into the vise. We'll shape the 2 heels together. Here we are. We'll just box off the hoof surface. What's important to remember is we can heat this shoe back up to red. If we bring it to orange, the copper will melt. Now we're going to bring the second branch up to an orange heat before we put the copper on and the flux. What we've got to be careful of is we don't overheat the branch that we've done. I see a bit of scale on it, so I just wire brush the scale off, put my copper on. Plenty of copper, a little bit of flux. Put my piece on, line it up. A little bit more flux. Back to the fire. Starting to go. Hold it down. Let the heat go out of it. There we go. Now we can wire brush it up. This temperature, we can give it a little bit of forging. Then we can give it a rasp up. There we have our Challenger Hind shoe, changed to have a rocket toe and brazed on wedged heels, be used for horse with spavins.